Congratulations on buying this video cassette seminar on how to get into TV commercials. If you really want to act and grow rich in commercials, it may well be the best investment you could have made. Many commercial performers have become millionaires. Many people just like you have made up to $50,000 a year and even more for acting in just one TV commercial. If a little old lady with no experience could become very rich and famous for saying just 3 little words, "Where's the beef?" then by the grace of God, so can you. Commercials are made in every major city. So start right now, right where you are, with what you've got. A positive attitude, a pleasing personality, this video, and you.
Let's get going with a little applause. That's always welcome in show business. A little bit for you, a little bit for me, right? I'd like to welcome you to Bob Collier TV Success Seminars. We have what we think is the leading TV commercial course in the business, because we not only teach you how to do commercials, we teach you how to get commercials, and even more important than that, how to be successful. And that's the thing that sets us apart from any other school in the country, is that we teach you how to be successful at whatever goals you want to set for yourself. Is everybody happy? Yes. Is there anybody here who wants to do commercials? Yes. Do you really want to do them? Yes. Are you willing to work at it? Yes. Then I promise you that you're going to do commercials, starting tonight, right? And if you keep working at it, eventually you'll be making money at it, and you should make money at it, because commercials are performing a very worthwhile service. Do you like commercials? Yes. I wonder where some of you heard about us. Where'd you hear about us?
Backstage.
Fantastic. A good trade paper. Where'd you hear about us? Oh, professionals in the business. And you also? Did anybody hear about us on CBS television? Good. You stay up late, don't you? We figured that a lot of people in show business stay up late. You know why a lot of them stay up late? A lot of them think they have to wait table and 10 bar and drive cab in order to be a successful performer. I beg your pardon?
Absolutely not.
There's a man back there who says it's not necessary to wait table, 10 bar, and drive cab. Are you a waiter, sir?
Not anymore.
Oh, good. This is Waiters Anonymous here. We love it when people quit their waiting job. You were a waiter once?
At one time.
And now you're an actor?
Yes.
Good for you. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you.
What made the big change in your life?
You did.
Oh, you're back visiting tonight. Good. Glad to have you with us. Well, we turn out successful, happy people. Saul, you're one of our graduates, too.
Yes, I am.
Were you pleased with what happened here, Saul?
Oh, yes, very much so.
Would you like to tell us, you want to stand up?
Yes.
And tell us just what has happened to you since you took the course.
Well, I took the course about 2 years ago. Followed your advice and suggestions, did my homework. And since then, I've been active in feature films, video films, home videos, commercials, voiceovers. And I'm still rather busy at it and very happy about it.
Fantastic. And you started in the second half of your life, didn't you?
That's right.
A former salesman with a record company.
That's right. And I retired early in order to take your course.
And now you're doing what you love to do.
Love it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Saul. You know, how many people here can honestly say that the work they're doing and getting paid for is the work that they truly love? Congratulations. What do you do? What do you do? Right. If you're doing commercials, that's what you really love. Actors should be acting, singers should be singing, dancers should be dancing, and there should be no reason why you should have to slave over a hot bar or a hot table all night long in order to do it, right? You know, our Creator gave us our talents for 2 reasons. One, so that we never have to worry about where our next meal was coming from. That means if you want to eat, you have to work, but there's no law that says you can't enjoy your work. And that means it's not work anymore, it's play, it's fun. The other reason was so that you could provide some useful service to the world, and that, after all, is what money is. Money is only a reward for service, and the more people you serve, and the better you serve them, the more money you make. It's as simple as that. And you know, there are 1,500 commercials on the air every day. Somebody's got to do them. Might as well be you, right?
Right.
And those commercials are selling happiness. And because you're making people happy, if they buy the product, it makes them well, they get over the cold, they buy the Cadillac and it rides well and they're happy and proud of it, you make them happy. So all commercials are selling happiness. That means that if you want to sell commercials, you've got to start by being happy. And one of the things that we do here in our two-week TV crash course in commercials is, first of all, to get you positive. Do you know why? Because everything reproduces after its own kind. You plant a carrot, you get a carrot, not a Brussels sprout, right? And a positive attitude produces a positive result. It's very simple. A negative attitude produces a negative result. You know what? There are no negative commercials on television. They're all selling happiness, and that's about as positive as you can possibly be. Well, I'm glad you came here. I'd like to introduce you to some of the people who work with us. Number one, my number one mastermind alliance, the girl of my dreams, my manager, my promoter, my chief salesperson, the love of my life, Helen Moffat Collier. Helen, would you like to tell them something about what you do here?
Well, I think a very big part of what we do here is, of course, the motivation and teaching you all the techniques and skills that are involved in commercials. One of the very important things about commercials is that each one of you can bring your own personality and who you are to commercials. We need all types and all kinds. Other than the business end of the business here, I also do the casting. Today we had 4 major casting calls for our people. We submitted over 300 people this week for commercials and booked, I'm not really positive of this number, but it was about 100 people in work on commercials in one capacity or another. I think that it's very nice to be motivated, and it's very well to know the business of the business, but getting out there, getting the job is very important.
So we're casting for a lot of the leading agencies, and a lot of the leading casting directors and the agents call us for actors because they know the quality of actor that we turn out. They're all happy, positive, confident people. And we do this as our way of going the extra mile. You know, there's another law I wanted to tell you about, and that is the law of compensation, which says that whatever you send out comes back to you. But the law of increasing return says it comes back multiplied. Which gives me an idea. Helen, let's pass out some money. I'm going to give you $1, and it's going to be a flying dollar. I want you to give it to somebody who would like to have $1. Anybody like to have $1? Good. What's your name, sir?
That's Jim Morrow.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Helen. Big hand for Helen. There's nothing we do here that we could possibly do if it weren't for Helen. And you know what? We teach you in this course that you can have or do or be anything you want. Anything you want. And it really works because 4 years ago, Helen came to one of my classes down in Florida, and here we are. We're going to be married 4 years in November, right? You can have or do or do whatever you want. I got what I wanted. I want you to know. Who else would like to have $1? Have $1. What's your name?
James.
Hi, James. I want you to, excuse me, I'm throwing money around all over the place. Have another $1. Would you like $1?
Keep the $1?
Huh? Of course you can keep the $1. I have a couple more. Anybody else want $1? You want 2? Let's spread it around. There you go. There you are. And why don't you take one, too? Now, you see what's going to happen to that? I am planting money. If you want money, you spread some money around. You spend it at the very least, but if you can give it away without regard to how it's going to come back or where, you'll never have to worry about it. If you plant a carrot, you get a carrot. If you plant money, you get money. If you plant love, you get love, right? And so I'm expecting that money to come back multiplied. I don't even know how much I passed out, right? You want to do commercials? Are you willing to work at it?
Sure.
You know, one of the things we do in our 2-week crash course is on the second lesson, we set a definite goal by which time you fully expect to have at least one TV commercial on TV. Most of our people, not everybody, but most of our people beat their goals. But you know, the nice thing about goals is if you didn't set a goal, you couldn't possibly beat it. You wouldn't be here this evening if you hadn't set a goal to be here at this time and at this place. So one of the things you must do is set a daily goal, a weekly goal, a monthly goal. We usually set a goal somewhere between 3 months from the day the students start and 6 months. No less than 3 months because we don't want you to be uptight when you go on your first audition, and no more than 6 months because we want action, right? Talk is cheap. But you know, actors are doers. That's what it means. To act is to do. And to do is to be. Do, be, do, be. Do-be, do-be, do. You know, one of the things that really changes people's lives and sets them on the road to success are the 3 books that we ask you to read in those 2 weeks. You know, most Americans don't read 3 books in a lifetime, much less in 2 weeks. But by reading these 3 books in 2 weeks, I promise you that Whatever goal you set for yourself, you can achieve. But you're going to be happier and healthier. It's going to affect every area of your life. And these are some of the books. The most important one, of course, because I wrote it, including the typos, is the TV Crash Course in Commercials textbook. And this covers all of the lessons that are in the course so that long after the course is over, you can continue to practice at home. And we've given you the lessons so that you can reinforce them after each lesson, and a lot of additional commercial copies so you have something to practice with. Whenever you want to know about what to do in your career, all you have to do is read this textbook.
That's true.
Okay, and that's going to be published by a major publishing company within a couple of months in an expanded version. There are two other books that can really change your life, and these are books that in combination can bring you anything you want in life. The first one is The Master Key to Riches by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill is called the kingmaker of millionaires because literally thousands of millionaires, and I'm not exaggerating, countless super successful people in every walk of life credit the principles in this book with their success. It says that you can have and do and be anything you want. And this book, The Secret of the Ages by Robert Collier, has brought me everything in my life I've ever wanted, including my stage name when I decided to change it, when it got me into network television way back in 1951, 2 weeks after making the decision to do so, without any training, without any experience, without an agent, without any connections in the business, and with having only seen one TV show in my life. But by using the techniques that I learned in this book, The Secret of the Ages, they taught me how to visualize my goals as an already accomplished fact. You know, Napoleon Hill's most famous quotation is, "What the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Robert Collier says, we think in pictures, and whatever picture you hold in your mind is what you create in your life. Let me tell you how it works. On the 7th lesson in our 2-week crash course, we always take each actor's picture on the TV tube doing a commercial so that you'll be able to look at that every night before you go to bed, every morning when you wake up. And it's to reinforce what you see here in the classroom, because in the classroom 5, 6, 7, 8 times at every session you'll see yourself on television in living color. You say, that's me doing a commercial. But if you have a picture that you can use as a bookmark, that you can look at as you do your affirmation, when you review your goals before going to bed at night, you plant that picture in your subconscious, and whatever picture you plant in your subconscious is going to be created in your life. Now, this young man did not know what commercial product to hold up. Since he was a singer and dancer, and this was about 4 years ago, I suggested that he pick Dr. Pepper because it was all over the tube. Well, we couldn't find a regular Dr. Pepper can, so he substituted a sugar-free Dr. Pepper can, and until that time, they had not had any commercials on TV. But 3 weeks later, they did, and Chris Todd was in the first sugar-free Dr. Pepper commercial. This is the one we took in their studio, and this is the one he materialized on the network. What the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And that includes commercials. And after that one, he went on to star in a movie. That's visualization is what it's called, and that's part of what we do in our course, and that's part of what you do when you take your lesson and you're on camera 5, 6, 7, 8 times every time. So if you want to do commercials, you came to the right place. Y'all got a piece of copy. This is a piece of television copy, and it's frequently the way it's handed out at an audition. And sometimes there will be video directions there, and sometimes there will not. Sometimes you will get a storyboard, which will show you little cartoon-like frames from the projected commercial. What you have to do is go to that audition early and to digest this information, to memorize some parts of it, maybe the first line and the last line, find out what the unique selling proposition is, why people would want to go out and buy this product. And then you find a scene and you put yourself in it, just so that you can see yourself on television, and we'll kind of evaluate what you might be able to do in this business and what kind of roles you might play. I hope you've all had a chance to look this over, and we're going to put you on camera one by one in just a moment. When you go into a commercial audition, you have to identify yourself. There's always a mark on the floor. What is your name, please?
Melissa.
Melissa, would you take your mark over there, please? Line up your toes with that mark. That will keep you in good light, good sound, and good focus. Okay? And we want to make sure we have a good picture of you here. Just look right into this lens, Melissa. And you have to identify yourself because you're usually not the only person in an audition. And they call that slating it. They'll say, slate it, Melissa. When I say slate it, Wait for the cue. When I point to you, you say your full name and say, take one. If we do it again, you say, Melissa, your last name, Melissa?
Koch.
Melissa Koch, take two. If we do it 3 times or 4 times, okay? They're looking for the right person for the role. And you know, there's something else you should know. You have no competition, Melissa. You don't have to be better than anybody else here, and certainly you don't have to be better than anybody in an audition. All you have to do is be your own best self. Okay? You have your copy. Did you bring your copy up with you? Okay. Oh, yes, we're going to work with copies. And sometimes I'll have a cue card, and maybe later I'll show you what one of those is. Okay, Melissa, you talk right into this lens and treat it like your best friend, okay? Wait for the cue, Melissa. Slated, please.
Melissa Diane Koch, take one. Women are very careful what they do to their faces, but much less careful with what they do to their hair. They're constantly experimenting with shampoos, rinses, and conditioners, trying to find the right balance. Well, we've ended the experimenting. We put the perfect balance in a bottle. New Wash and Comb shampoo. It cleans like a shampoo, gives shine and body like a conditioner, and untangles like a rinse, all in one step. Wash and comb. It lets you be careful with your hair as you are with your face.
Fantastic. Big hand for Melissa, you're a very brave woman to go first, and you were very professional. I have to tell you that even though you had some hesitations there, they're normal, and they would always say, just relax, Melissa, and let's do it again, okay? Melissa, let's take it from the top, and this time it would be Melissa Koch, take 2. Slated, please.
Melissa Koch, take 2. Women are very careful with what they do to their faces, but much less careful with what they do to their hair. They're constantly experimenting with shampoos and rinses and conditioners, trying to find the right balance. Well, we've ended the experimenting. We put the perfect balance in one bottle. New Wash and Comb shampoo. It cleans like a shampoo, gives body and shine like a conditioner, and untangles hair like a cream rinse. All in one step. Wash and comb. It lets you be as careful with your hair as you are with your face.
Fantastic. Another big hand. Now, I want to give you a secret to forgetting nervousness. Back on your mark, please. The thing to do is to give yourself something to do, because you can't think 2 thoughts at one time.
Yes.
Now, what we're selling here is beautiful hair, isn't it? So touch your hair, love your hair. The reason why the casting director called you in there is they thought you had terrific hair and a wonderful personality. So you say women are very careful what they do with their faces, and touch your face. It's a very lovely face. And then much less careful with their hair, and give me a little hair number there, okay? And some of they do this and this and this, all the 3 benefits of wash and comb, and then at the end, love your hair, okay? Really love it, okay? Use your hands. Keep that hand free so you can touch your face and touch your hair. Okay, stand by. Wait for the cue. And slated, please.
Melissa Koch, take 3. Women are very careful what they do to their faces, but much less careful what they do to their hair. They're constantly experimenting with shampoos and rinses and conditioners, trying to find the right balance. Well, we've ended the experimenting. We put the perfect balance in the bottle. New Wash and Comb shampoo. It cleans like a shampoo, gives body and shine like a conditioner, untangles like a rinse, all in one step. Wash and comb. It lets you be as careful with your hair as you are with your face.
Big hand for Melissa. You know, nobody expects you to be perfect in an audition. They call you in because they like you and they think you're a good actress and that you're just right for this role. So you should go in there and act like you already have it. You know, don't audition for it. Act like you have it. You're supposed to be an actress, so you should be able to act confident and act like a star. And that's who becomes a star, the people who act like it. They would always give you another chance to do it. So one of the things you should avoid doing is criticizing yourself on camera by making little faces. You look wholesome and lovely. And are you under 20? Oh, well, you look like an all-American teenager, the girl next door, Miss Ivory, Miss Coca-Cola, Miss Pepsi. You've got a great opportunity in this field. Okay, you should be in commercials. Now, you're going to say your name whenever I say slated, okay? Wait for the cue. Big happy smile.
Karen Sapp, take 1. I love it when my kids are home and safe. You know what they love? Hot dogs. They sure eat a lot of them. That's why I serve them the ones I feel good about. Hebrew National All Beef Franks. Hebrew National Franks has only top quality beef, which means my kids are getting good, healthy nourishment and protein. Hebrew National Franks. It's good for them.
Big hand.
I'm going to buy a case of those.
You're really good. I predicted if you really want to do this, you can be a star. Have you had any training?
No.
Any experience?
Experience, yes.
You've been on stage?
Yes.
Professionally, on Broadway, off Broadway? What have you been doing?
Acting.
The more you do of it, the better. But you have a great look, a wonderful personality. You could really be a star if you want to really work at it. Okay. Everything has its price, right? But you could be right up there. Where are you from?
Massapequa.
Very good. Are you an actor?
I sure think I am.
Good. Have you been working at it?
Pardon me?
Have you been working at it?
Yes.
Good. Making money at it?
Yes.
You know, commercials are the best way for an actor to make money. Do you realize that in all three of the performers' unions, more actors make more money from television commercials than from any other field of performing? It's fantastic. What?
I said all these years I've been a teacher.
It'll come in handy for you because now you're at the perfect age and the perfect maturity for doing commercials. Oh no, it's true. You know that 45% of the American population is over 50, and that so more and more commercials are using people who are mature because they're the people who are spending the money, and so there's more opportunity for you if you're over 50 than if you're under 50. But there's opportunity for everybody, okay? All right, sir. Great big happy smile. Wait for the cue. And slated, please.
Jim Morrow, take one. Billions of gallons of oil up here in Alaska. Gasoline, that's as hard to find as the right woman. That's why I have this. That's why I have this Toyota 5-speed long bed sport truck. Best Toyota truck gas mileage ever. 34 miles per gallon highway, 23 in the city. And torque, best in its class. If you can find a better Toyota, a better truck than Toyota, buy it.
Very good. Big hand. Stay right there, James. James?
Yes.
Stay right there. It was a very good first reading, and I understand. Don't worry if people chuckle and titter. That's what show business is about. You're a professional performer, so if we get a laugh, that's fine. It's a kind of an interesting line. That's as hard to find as the right woman. And remember, you're in Alaska. Okay. Now, see, that chair there is your truck, so look in the direction of that when you talk about it. Don't walk off. Okay. Big happy smile. Let's slate it again.
Jim Morrow, take two.
How are things up there, Jim?
Billions of gallons of oil up here in Alaska. Gasoline, that's as hard to find as the right woman. That's why I got this Toyota 5-speed long bed sport truck. Best Toyota truck gas mileage ever. 34 miles on the highway, 23 in the city. And torque, best in its class. If you can find a better truck built better than Toyota, buy it.
Well, very good, Jim. You have a professional reading there, and yet you have a believing quality. I really believe what you said. You have a good, strong presence. Are you a professional performer?
Yeah.
Been working at it?
Yes.
What are some of the things you've done, Jim?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning?
Doing a commercial.
Good for you. Good for you. And you already have the commercial.
I assume so. I'm going to do it tomorrow.
Well, good. Then you have it. Good luck to you. You'll do some more. You're a very believable, what we would call in this business, attractive character type. And there are lots of opportunities for that. Okay, look right into this camera. It's your best friend, and it really loves you. Okay. Wait for the cue. Slate your name.
Rita Barron, take one. Don't tell me about Map and Glow. Look, for years I tried about everything that would clean my floors. Shine my floors? Be easy to use and less work for me? So don't tell me about Map and Glow. I know all about Map and Glow. I wouldn't use anything else. It cleans and shines your floors every time you dent Map. Look at my floors. Now tell me, isn't Map and Glow the greatest?
And isn't she the greatest? What I see there is somebody, again, you're a good, believable actress. You have an interesting accent. Where are you from?
Originally, way back, I was born in Poland.
Poland.
I lived in France and in Germany.
Well, it's not, I could really not put my finger on it, but it's a very charming continental accent. And you may find a market for that. Not every day. You're not going to play the lady from Ohio with that accent. But certainly for a beautiful woman who uses oil of Olay or a product such as that, there's a market for you. Also, Helen can tell you that in our free casting service, we get many calls a year for people with authentic foreign accents. It's pretty difficult to fool the people with an accent. Even if you can do accents, they want the real thing. Okay, and sometimes you can use that as an asset. While you may be somewhat limited in commercials, you're certainly not limited completely, because a lot of commercials have no lines, and you're a very lovely lady. And as I told you earlier, that when you're over 40 in this business, and I hope you are you?
Yes.
Good. That's so nice for the guys who are over 40, right? That there's a big market. It's we get calls all the time from both men and women from 40 to 70 to 80, constantly saying, get us more mature people, because more and more mature people are being used in commercials, because almost half the country is over 50. There's a good market for you, but I would suggest also that you should also be interested in soap opera. You're very glamorous looking, and the accent could be put to good use in a soap opera. Right? You could be the lady from France who comes in and steals the leading lady. Oh, you see that? Good for you. Okay, so if you want to do it, you can do it.
Beulah Warshaw, take 1. Peter doesn't cry when I shampoo his hair. He trusts me not to let anything hurt. That's why I always use Johnson's baby shampoo. Its No More Tears lather doesn't irritate his eyes the way soap and ordinary shampoo can. Gets his hair and head so nice and clean. Johnson rinses out cleaner than soap, too. Now look at you. Your hair's all shiny clean with Johnson's No More Tears baby shampoo.
Fantastic. And it was certainly maternal, and it was loving, and that's exactly what was needed in that commercial. If you were the right type, you'd have the part. Okay. And the other thing to remember is when you go on an audition, the casting directors called you there because they want you to be right for the role, and they always will take an interest in you and tell you what quality they're looking for, may even help you with certain words and describe a scene for you to make the chances even better. But you are so right for commercials that you ought to get ready for that career right away. And since you spent your life teaching, it's time now to have a fling, right? Come join us, Beulah. What's your name?
Grace.
Grace. It's a great name. My mother was named Grace, and my sister was named Grace. Isn't that amazing, Grace? Before you do this commercial, would you like to say Grace? Sorry about that. I know you get that all the time. Slate your name, Grace.
Grace Farouk, take 1. What makes Campbell's vegetable soup the best vegetable soup in the world? All these sun-ripened garden vegetables. They get simmered slowly in a delicious beef and vegetable broth. Campbell's does all the work, so you just open the can. And in 4 minutes, you have good hot soup. When you take your first taste, you'll know why it's the best-selling vegetable soup. Doesn't your family deserve the best? Campbell's vegetable soup.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Great. Thank you, Grace. You come across as what we call in this business upscale. It means you look like a successful person, you look like you've had some good meals, and that you're a happy, upwardly mobile person. Okay? But you sound like very classy. Okay? Educated. Great big happy smile. Wait for the cue. And slate your name proudly.
Melissa Fonts, take 1. Well, I like to look clean and fresh. And I like to feel clean and fresh. And that's why I like ivory. Ivory just doesn't have all those extra ingredients in it. When you get out of an ivory shower, you smell clean and fresh. Not all perfumed, you know? I think looking clean and fresh is right for all of us. So I guess that makes ivory right for all of us.
That was beautiful. Wow, that's an ivory girl if I ever heard. Have you done any commercials yet, Melissa?
No, I just got out of school.
Oh, fantastic. Well, you're on your way. You want to do them. You're willing to work at it.
Oh, yes.
You're going to make a killing. You're a very lovely woman. I hear comments back here. Somebody says, great. You're an excellent actress. Have you had training? Okay. Boston University? Very good. And you want to be a professional actress? Well, you certainly could be a star as far as I'm concerned. Very talented reading there for a first reading. Charming smile. A very interesting look, and people sit back here saying, great. So if you want a career, pursue it. Okay? By the way, I don't pretend to be the world's living authority on who can make it and who can't, because many of the people in this business who were told to get out of the business, they didn't stand a chance, are some of our biggest stars. So the main thing is, if you really want it and you're willing to pay the price, I don't care who you are, you have the same power that anybody else does. And if there just doesn't happen to be your category right now, you do what Barbra Streisand did and what Dustin Hoffman did, and you make the category, right? And your name?
Walter Ramsey.
Hi, Walter. Where are you from?
I'm from Holbrook, Long Island.
Very good. Are you an actor?
No.
Never been?
No.
Want to be?
Yep.
Okay. And you'd like to do commercials? You'd be great for commercials and for print modeling and for acting too. Have you ever had any training?
No.
Well, this is a good place to start, okay? As I said, acting in commercials pays better than acting off Broadway, okay? Wait for the cue, Walter. Big happy smile. And slate it proudly.
Walter Ramsey, take one. You know what our high-priced accountant suggested as a way to cut expenses?
No, what?
Get rid of our phones.
Your phones?
Our reaction? Get rid of him.
Right on.
Then he explained that by replacing our Bell System phones with Deltronics, we'd be paying a fixed monthly rate. Save thousands of dollars a year, and save on taxes, too.
That's fantastic.
Now we have a new low-cost phone system.
Great!
And a new high-priced vice president.
Oh, boo! Big hands for Walter. Walter, fantastic. You have a great look and you have a sensational voice. Have you ever worked on radio?
No, I haven't.
Would you like to do voiceover commercials?
I'd love to.
You know what voiceover commercials
Yes, I
are?
know. Yes.
That's when you hear the voice, but you don't see the face. And there's an awful lot of money in it. You know, not all commercials have live actors in them, but almost all commercials have live voiceover announcers or performers or character actors in them. And some of those voiceover people are millionaires, right? Really terrific, Walter. You're a great type. You're very telegenic. You have beautiful blue eyes, but you're very expressive. You come off with a lot of authority. You look like you could be the chief of police. You could be the mayor of your community. You could be a very successful businessman, manufacturer. No limit. There's a good market for you in both modeling and in commercials. By the way, we're all models. You know that fashion modeling, where you have to be, the women have to be 5'8", 5'10", and skinny and with high cheekbones, and the guys have to be exactly 6 feet tall and wear a size 40 suit. That's called fashion modeling. But actually, real people modeling, which is print modeling, and that's modeling which you see on billboards and newspapers and magazines and brochures and travel folders, those are people like you and me. And it pays exactly the same amount of money, $150 at the current rates to $200 an hour and up to $1,000, $1,500 a day. While you could have world cruises if you want to do modeling for travel brochures. It's a great field. It's really a form of acting. You don't just stand there and smile. You have to convey some kind of meaning there. And it pays an awful lot better and is a lot more rewarding than waiting table, tending bar, unless, of course, it's your own restaurant or your own bar, right? But you're a great type. You're going to make it.
Hi, Michelle Payne, take one. You know, you can eat an orange, or you can drink it. Introducing Sunkissed fruit juice drinks. Taste the real flavor of Sunkissed. Experience the refreshment of Sunkissed. It's 100% natural. There's orange, grape, fruit punch, and apple. New Sunkissed fruit juice drinks. Taste the real fruit flavor that only could come from Sunkissed.
Fantastic. Big hands for Michelle. You are a pro. Indeed, it is fantastic. You're very, very colorful and dramatic. You photograph beautifully. You could, if you like, in the proper hands, the right makeup artist, the right hairstylist, the right couturier, you could be groomed for stardom. Do you agree with me? I think you should work in not only in commercials, but in soap opera, and of course the progression of that would be in motion pictures. But I can see there, maybe because television adds a little bit of weight to everybody, maybe 10 to 15 pounds, and that has to do with these lines here that make our attention go this way. So that nearly everybody who wants to be a romantic lead in this business, men and women, have to stay slightly underweight. Okay? But beautiful and nice work. Now you gave them more than they wanted on that first take. What would normally happen would be they would say, that's fine, could you turn it down just a little bit? Keep the color, but just a little bit lighter. Don't work quite so hard at it. Okay? Nice work. But, you know, I would rather have you go too far on the first take than not far enough, because when they say, please, more, bigger, brighter, you know, they get a little exhausted at that. Right? You're doing what is right there. Give them a lot, and then you can tone it down. Then they'll know you're a good actress, and you can take direction. You're great on the color words, Michelle. You know, color words are the words which make our speech more colorful, more interesting, and more memorable. And every commercial is loaded with them. They're usually adjectives. However, sometimes they can be the name of the product. You know, when you say sun-kissed, right? You say the sponsor's name always with love and pride and joy of discovery. You always love the product no matter what it is. You're proud to tell people about it. And you just have made the most exciting discovery, and you can't wait to get everybody in the world to try it. Nice work. You're very colorful. Ray Rossi, where were you working?
Where was I working?
Yeah.
Up until a couple of weeks ago, I was at WKTU.
Where's that?
And it's here in New York.
You're in New York, yeah.
And prior to that, at Z100.
Is that 92 FM, that KTU?
Right,
yeah.
Right.
Where would you like to work, Ray Rossi?
I'd like to work on TV.
Fantastic.
I'd like to work in radio again.
Good. Want to do a lot of commercials?
As many as I can.
Fantastic. Well, you came to the right place.
Fill up the bank account.
We'll teach you how to do them, how to get them, and how to be successful in 2 short weeks. Okay?
Right.
You ready to go, Ray?
Okay, here we go.
1 second. Wait for the cue. Big happy smile. Not too close to the mic, Ray.
I should know about that.
Okay. Now, I'll slate it again, Ray. Oh, slate your name.
Ray Rossi, take 1.
Okay.
You'd think that a single guy with his own station would be sitting on top of the world. But you see, I'm looking for the right girl. And I love looking. It's costing me a fortune. A fortune! So when you come in, I'm going to do everything I can to make you a friend. I'm going to wash your front window, your rear window, your side view mirror, and check over your car like it was my own. I mean, do you know what it costs for dinner for 2? Dancing, romancing. You know, I think if I were married, I wouldn't have to work as hard. But then I wouldn't be able to look anymore. And I love looking. So I could be very friendly.
Do you believe him? You know, one of the things you can do is always find a scene and put yourself in it. When you get a piece of copy, you say, if I were saying these words, to whom would I be saying these words? Where would I be when I'm saying them? And what would I be doing? If you give yourself, your body, something to do, you know, you can get really into the performance and forget about how you're doing and concentrating on what you're doing. Let's take it from the top. Stand by and slate it, Ray.
Ray Rossi, take 2.
If you get the mood, where are you?
You'd think that a single guy with his own station would be sitting on top of the world, right? But see, I'm looking for the right girl. And I love looking. And it's costing me a fortune. A fortune. So when you come in, I'm going to do everything I can to make you a friend. I'm going to wash your front window, your rear window, your side view mirror, and check over your car like it was my own. I mean, do you know what it costs for dinner for 2? Dancing, romancing. You know, I think if I were married, I wouldn't have to work as hard. But then, I wouldn't be able to look anymore. And I love looking. So I could be very friendly.
Next week. Big hand for Ray Rossi. Fantastic. Good work. You're very colorful, and I guess that comes from your radio work. In radio, you have to be colorful because we get everything through the ears. But you're a nice-looking guy. Definitely ethnic, but there's nothing wrong with ethnic. It's what's all American nowadays. You're a good actor. You're very expressive. I have a feeling that you could even go broader than that. Have you had any acting training, Ray?
I had some acting in college, but nothing, just acting courses.
Well, I'd recommend a commercial course, and then maybe take it from there on, take a TV improvisational course where you get the freedom to really pull out all the stops. And then, maybe, who knows, you might be the the next Tony Danza. Well, I think you deserve a great big hand. You're all terrific. Now, I want to encourage you because I happen to believe that anybody can do anything they really make up their mind to do. I didn't always speak with radio or television speech. It's because I decided when I was very small, 5 years old, in the middle of the Depression, that when I grew up I was going to do news on radio like Lowell Thomas and someday be on the CBS radio network. And eventually I sat across from that CBS microphone when I was on staff with my idol, Lowell Thomas, and put him on the air. And I'd say, and now the Dean of America's Newscasters, Lowell Thomas. In the same tone of voice, he'd say, thank you, Bob Collier, and now the news. And Bob Collier would do backflips coast to coast. You can do anything you want, what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. I'm not saying that everybody gave a perfect performance here tonight because it requires a little bit more practice, a little bit more training to give a perfect performance. And besides, what is a perfect performance? No matter how many takes I've ever gotten in a movie or a TV show, I've always said, could I do it one more time? Right? One more time, we're going to get better. Practice doesn't make you perfect, but it sure makes you better. And that's what most of you need is practice. Some of you may need some remedial speech lessons, but that's no big deal. Right? The main thing is, do you really want to do it? And if you want to do it, you came to the right place because we can teach you how to do them, how to get them, and how to be successful in 2 short weeks. And no other course in this country or any other country can make that statement. Right? And we have the successful performers to prove it. There are certain things that you must have in order to be a professional in this business, one of which is training and experience, and the only way to do that is to go ahead and do it. And I'd recommend, there are other schools, of course, but we have a certain fondness for this one. And we can do it faster in 2 short weeks. But you'll need an 8x10 headshot. These are sometimes called glossies, though nowadays you have your choice of glossy or semi-gloss. This happens to be a semi-matte or a semi-glossy print. It should look exactly like you. It should be nothing but the head and shoulders. It should be expressing your personality, something exciting going on in the eyes. Right, and happy, because all commercials are selling happiness. Wear pastel shades, open-collared shirts are generally right for young men and young women. If you're an older business type, you would wear a suit. And wear what seems to be appropriate. And the way to find that out is to observe a number of commercials and write down the kind of parts you could play and what those people wore and how they did their hair and what kind of makeup they used. Take it easy on the jewelry because it can detract from your face. You'll need 100 of those to start with, and you'll want them taken by a professional commercial headshot photographer. And it's quite a different thing than a modeling photographer, and quite a different thing from your brother who has a great camera. The professional picture will mark you as a professional. Make sure your name is on the front of the picture in big, bold, contrasting letters so that every time they see your picture, they will see your name and have that memorized too. This is an excellent one. This is a glossy print, and it has a border, and borders are kind of out of fashion right now, but he does have the name on the front. But this picture so well expresses his personality that it's a selling picture, and he gets lots of calls. On the back should be your resume, your name, your Social Security number, so you'll be sure to get your paychecks. Do not put your home address or your home telephone number unless you like funny phone calls at 3 in the morning, and unless you like your apartment cleaned out when you're working on Broadway. So give that to your agent, but don't give it to the general public. Then your vital statistics, your height, your weight, your hair color, eye color. Here he puts his vocal range of 3 octaves, and in this case his acting range. But in general, they're going to judge your age by your picture. No retouching. You may have blemishes retouched, but no age lines, because you're going to be cast for exactly what you look like. And when you come to that casting session, they want you to look exactly like your picture. Okay? No retouching. But make sure it expresses your personality. You put down the things that you've done here, your education and your training, your credits, the things that you've done in show business, whether they were local or whether they were national or whether they were on TV or motion pictures or Broadway. And most of you, how many are new in this business? Just about everybody? You're going to be starting from scratch, but some of your lifetime experience is very important and can get you your first job. Basically, you get hired for commercials because you're a good actor and because you look the part. Here's a good, lovable mommy and a young grandmommy, and she works a lot, and that's a very good picture. And the resume should be on the back. Those of you who have bald heads and mustaches and who are middle-aged, you're in luck, because this is Steve Hurwitz, and he's one of our most successful actors in commercials, and he gets it because he looks so real. Now, you would have to say also that he's ethnic, right? And he's certainly no young leading man, but the man has done hundreds of commercials. Make sure your resume is honest. No lying on your resume, no padding it. Some schools call it padding your resume. Make it look like you've done something to get called in. Be honest, because what you send out comes back to you multiplied. But the other reason is your confidence will lack if you got in because you lied, and you're going to expect that they will ask you the wrong, embarrassing questions, and we get what we expect. So tell the truth. You don't have to tell lies on your resume. You're going to get the part at first because you're right for the part and for no other reason. There's a good picture. Mustaches sometimes are criticized by agents as being not commercial, but I think if you watch television nowadays, in commercials, you'll see mustaches and beards, long hair, bald heads. You'll see every type and variety of human being. The thing that makes them right for commercials is that they look like real people. Here's a lovely young lady who had never done any acting before she came here, except for a non-speaking role in a pageant at Brandeis High School. But she set her goal to be in commercials within 3 months and to be on her favorite soap opera within 6 months, and she made it. Her name is Parker Laurie. Here's a young fellow who got a commercial within a couple of weeks after taking the course. No experience whatever. He was very athletic, however, and on his resume we put all of the sports that he was reasonably good at, and the things that he excelled at were bodybuilding, weightlifting, he's an auto mechanic, and a good disco dancer. He has a commercial. It's probably still running, and you've probably seen it. Playing what? An auto mechanic. They didn't have to teach him what a muffler is, where it's located, or how to handle it when you get there. Children and teenagers sometimes use composites, and this is a two-picture composite. Dennis Singletary is one of our students who's made us very proud, charming young man, and adults very rarely, if ever, need a composite, except on the West Coast. In Los Angeles, they still have composites of 3 or 4 pictures and a headshot. It's a two-sided printed affair. But in New York City, except for children and teenagers, you'll want a headshot, not a composite. In addition to 100 photos and resumes, which is what the agents will be asking you for, and every time you go on an audition or an interview, they're going to ask for a photo and resume, and they really will file that, and they'll read everything on it and put you in a certain category. So if when you watch television commercials you realize what kinds of roles you might be good at, you'll tell them about that, particularly when you write to them by postcards. Most agents will tell you to keep in touch with them by postcard, and by that they mean a picture postcard, so that they'll remember your face and your name and your telephone answering service. By the way, that's another thing you need to have, is a New York theatrical television answering service, because they won't call your home more than once if they call once and there's a busy signal, or if there's nobody home. They want to be able to reach you, and you don't want to miss any work. So get yourself a New York telephone answering service. These picture postcards are used as your calling cards. They're used for asking for work. They're used for promoting your career and your talents. They're used for dropping off with agents and casting people. When you stop in and they're not immediately available, you would write a little message on the card and ask the receptionist if they'd give it to the person you came to see. Whenever anybody says to put your picture through the door, I'm not quite sure that at today's prices I would waste an 8x10 photo and resume. I would, on the first attempt, put through a card and say, I'm looking for representation. I hear you're a terrific agent, and I'm a terrific talent. When can we get together? I'll call you at 5:30 or this afternoon or 9:30 tomorrow morning, one of the two, to arrange an appointment. You take advantage of every opportunity. The way you publicize yourself in this business is by getting your picture in as many hands as possible. And sometimes these postcards get more immediate attention than the 8x10s, because while the 8x10 is in a 9x12 manila envelope, they all know what it is, and if they're busy casting, they go to their phones first and put that aside. But when they pick up their mail in the morning to go through it for the residual checks, and they have your picture already in their hand, how can they not look at it? So I highly recommend 200 picture postcards. You're going to use them, and you'll need another 200 in a month. They can be the same as your headshot, or they can be casual. They can show you doing things. You can do 2 pictures on a postcard if you like, as Ron Winders did. Ron is a broadcaster. He's a sports authority on television and radio, and he's also a good actor and a good comedian. And so he has a straight young daddy or young spokesman or newscaster picture, and then he has one which is a comic character. He's very funny and can do lots of various impressions. Here's a fellow who looks a little bit like Burt Reynolds and has made a good deal of money by being a Burt Reynolds look-alike. After a while, he got tired of people saying, "You look like Burt Reynolds." He decided one Burt Reynolds was enough for this business, and so he put on a little weight intentionally, trying to make himself a little bit more of a character. He's done a lot of work. He used to be a school teacher, by the way, in New Jersey, and he got the bug and came to our class, took the crash course, and we sent him out. He got his first 11 commercials through Helen. And every time he sends us a little note saying, "Thanks for the commercial. This is number 11. Or on this particular card, it was number 3. And he's since taken all of our other courses. He's worked in a lot of movies. He's done a lot of soap operas, both in principal roles and in extras and walk-ons. And by the way, doing extra work on soap operas is a good way to learn soap opera and to get some good credits and make some good money. This lady is a comedian. Her boyfriend gave her a mink coat that Christmas, and she couldn't wait to do a takeoff on the Black Glamour ad. Right? There are no rules about these things. You can do anything you like. Here's a young fellow who sent out his juvenile lead picture. That's handsome young man, handsome young lead, junior lead. And when he sent that out, he didn't get too many results because there are 10,000 juvenile leads in the New York area. But when he got a pair of cheap frames at Woolworth's and did a nerd picture, he got results immediately, and he's on a singing, dancing commercial for New York State Lotto, and you've probably seen him. By the way, he keeps in touch with us every month, and every month it's 3 or 4 new commercials and 3 or 4 new print jobs. He's always working, and that's because he makes a business of it, and he's out there looking for work every day, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and that's the only way to do it. There's a nerd shot and a Robert Redford shot, and here's a female leading lady and a female nerd, right? Nerds are in style right now. Here's a nerd who's doing very well, and he cut out the cover of his Time magazine and superimposed it on his face, and he got lots of calls from that card. Worked so well that he did the same thing with New York magazine. You can be on the cover of Soap Opera Digest if you want to. All you have to do is buy the book, put your picture on it. That's called visualization too. Here's a great card, a smaller picture, but it looks like a mini resume, but what it says in effect is commercials, soap, film, and print, that's print modeling, commercial modeling, hair, eyes, height, weight, age range, excellent comedy and improvisational skills, natural Archie Bunker, Jackie Gleason, Jimmy Breslin type. Good casting, isn't it? And then he wrote bartender, cop, football coach, heavy, cabbie, street types. The man, by putting down the roles that he could play, cast himself, and even though he started out with, he joined AFTRA because he could get into AFTRA, but he got his first commercial and his Screen Actors Guild union card and a nice long-running commercial. He's the cab driver in the checker cab who sings, "Come on along, I'll take you to the lullaby of Broadway." His name is Doug Harriman. We're very proud of him. Here's a young lady who says, "It works for Doug, it'll work for me." Beatrix Porter. And she put her hair and her eyes and her height and her weight. Think of me when casting the kooky roommate, the college co-ed, the young mommy, the perky counter girl, the girl next door. Special skills, dancer, singer, tennis, typist, aerobics, fluent Hungarian, and a sunshine smile. The fluent Hungarian got her 3 commercials right through Helen. You'd be surprised the number of times a year we get requests for authentic European accents. Here's a young fellow who, because of what he put on this card, got his cats a job before he got one. He's 6'4", and he said special talents and abilities, work well with animals and children. And when he went around to the agents, but particularly when he came here to the audition course, he brought his book, and he's a photographer, and he had taken some color pictures of his calico cats. And one of the first agents he met hired the cats, and he got work later. You need 200 of those, and you'll get rid of them awful fast. Yes?
I'm just curious what you think of having 2 pictures, because I've been told that a lot of people, a lot of agents don't frown upon.
Most agents and casting directors will say, "Give me your best personality shot." That's what I'll work with. Okay? But there's no law against it. You can have 2 different pictures. generally you're going to be casted the way they pigeonhole you. So get the one that captures your personality. And that it's on the basis of personality and look that you get called in. So for soap opera or even for theater, even if you're going to play a dramatic role, they want to know what you like as a person. And make sure the camera captures you. Has anybody here done modeling, fashion modeling? For fashion modeling, you would go with a high fashion agency like Ford or Wilhelmina or Elite or Zoli, and they would produce your 5x7 color and black and white fold-out. And here's one for a young lady who was a student of ours who's very successful, Margie Harris, and it was prepared for her by her agency. She's now with a leading agency in New York. Here's a young young fellow named Peter Creddick, whom we discovered down in Florida and brought him to New York and trained him, and within a very short period of time, matter of fact, the first time we took him around, we were managing his career. Peter had got 3 commercials on the very first day out, signed with the biggest commercial agency in the world, J. Michael Bloom, and with one of the biggest fashion agencies, Elite, and it was just success after success after success. But everybody in this room is what we would call a real people model. Real people are people like you and me who look real. The Chase Manhattan Bank deals with real people. They have all kinds of people, so in their advertising, they use all kinds of people. Practically everybody in the room is in this one illustration. And throughout this brochure on their banking services, you'll find other people just like you. That's called print modeling or commercial modeling, and it's very available to you. It pays very well, as much as high fashion, as a matter of fact. And there's more of it available, believe it or not, than there is high fashion. And many of the agents who cast commercials also do modeling, send people out on modeling go-sees. And I would recommend it because it pays good money, it's good experience, and it beats the daylights out of waiting table, tending bar, driving cab, or doing something just to get by. Okay? Do what you love to do. For that, most commercial agents or print agencies will ask you to have a composite made. It usually comprises a headshot and several winning poses in various costumes, your vital statistics, and a nice parting shot. And they send those out to all the photographers and all the casting directors in the business so that they will call for you by type from this composite. Here's yours truly. This is an old one, but I've reached the age where there are so few of us in the business that if they want my type, they know where I am, so I never bothered to get a new one. And besides, take a look at some of the pictures inside. They're all different types. Here's a worried parent, and I've never been cast in that capacity. And here's a seaman. I've never been cast as a dock worker or a seaman or a stevedore or, as a matter of fact, any blue-collar worker. But I've consistently been cast as an executive and as a doctor or a professional type, and I get those from my headshot. So I don't recommend you run out and get this right away. Save your money. When your agent demands that you do it, do it. And the other reason for it is this. Nowadays, in casting for print and many times for commercials, they know that no matter how recently you had your photograph made, it's not today. And so when you go on most modeling go-sees, they take a Polaroid of you. And many of the commercial houses, as for instance Steve Horn Productions, that does an awful lot of commercials in New York City, will take Polaroids, and they keep those Polaroids on file. Okay? But every time you go, they'll take a new one.
There are guides and directories you'll need. Ross Reports Television, available by subscription and on sale in most theater bookstores. It's a compendium of all the casting contacts in the advertising, film, television, video, and radio business in New York and Los Angeles. It lists names, addresses, and telephone numbers of production companies, casting directors, and talent agencies. Covers all the television programs, including soaps and primetime series. To help you find your way around, you'll need the New York and Los Angeles geographic casting guides. They are very helpful. They contain maps of the cities and list important addresses geographically to save you time and money when making the rounds. 2 indispensable directories are New York Casting and Survival Guide and Datebook on the East Coast and LA Working Actors Guide out west. Both contain just about every service a performer might need. plus names and addresses of agents, casting directors, producers, photographers, schools and coaches, printers, housing, employment agencies, and so on. They're a complete who's who, where's where, and what's what about show business. Absolutely essential. And we can mail them to you. Happily, there are professional talent directories that can actually get you work. For union members, you can get your picture and credits in Player's Guide, published annually in New York City, and Academy Players Directory, published 3 times a year in Beverly Hills, California. Anybody who's anybody is in these 2 guides, from superstars to extras. The thing they have in common is that they are members of AFTRA, SAG, Equity, AGVA, AGMA, Writers Guild, or Directors Guild. Pictures in both are an important investment for working performers because they are in constant use by agents, producers, and casting directors everywhere for casting Broadway, off-Broadway, movies, television, commercials, and even modeling. Get in them. For union members who want to work as extras or background or under 5s, be sure to get into Real People, published by Peter Glenn in New York. For casting directories in your area, contact your regional union offices. It pays to advertise.
The way to get children into commercials usually is to get a children's agent. And there are some, and I'll tell you about them. They're in the Ross Reports television. Or what most people do is go with the children's manager. They specialize in babies and children because most agents, other than those agents who specialize in children, would rather not work with minors for a lot of various reasons. And sometimes the reason is they don't want to work with their parents. Like they want one client at a time. And so frequently agents will call children's managers for babies and children. But there is a market, and one of the ways you can do is once you get this Ross Reports television, which does not list managers, but there is another book which does. It's called New York Casting and Survival Guide and Date Book. And by the way, they're also listed from time to time in Backstage newspaper and in Show Business newspaper. You would send not 8x10 photographs. I wouldn't go to a photographer for this. Just take some good color Polaroids, both full length and close up, and personality shots. And when you get a dozen of those, you write to these people with a couple of the pictures, ask them for an appointment, and then call 4 working days later. Okay? That about cover it? Does everybody here have an agent? No. Well, it is possible in this business to get some work without an agent. But if you really want to progress in this business, you're going to need at least one agent if you're signed exclusively. Very seldom will anybody take a beginner or an amateur and sign them to an agent, to an exclusive contract for representation, because agents' reputation rests upon the caliber of the people that they represent. And so they're looking for people who've made some kind of a professional mark before they sign them to an agreement. However, when you're first starting out, you should do what we call freelance, and that is to work through a number of agents, because not every agent gets every call. And in addition to that, when an agent has signed clients, the tendency of that agency, of course, is to be loyal to their signed clients and to send out those people on auditions or jobs who are already under contract to them. And then if they don't have enough people to fill all the roles, then they call upon their freelance performers. So for a while, you'd want to be freelancing with 5, 6, 8, maybe even 10 or 12 people. Then you'd see who's working with you most frequently, who seems to have a personal interest in sending you out for auditions and submitting you for roles. And you would narrow it down. You'd keep in touch with those other agents by postcard and devote most of your attention on the people with whom you seem to have the greatest rapport. If you were to ask any agent or any casting director or any producer for that matter, how do I get an appointment or an interview or an audition with you, the standard response always has been and always will be, send me a photo and resume with a little note requesting an appointment, no big letter, nothing flowery. Keep it simple because they don't have time to read 50 letters a day. And then wait 4 working days and call me and ask for the appointment. The 4 days is so that they will have had time to have received your photo and resume and not enough time to have forgotten it. Now, there are other ways to get an agent. That's the one that everybody will tell you to do. Unfortunately, however, they get 50 to 100 photos a day, and sometimes they are so busy casting the people they already represent that some agents may not be able to get to your photo for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And sometimes they bring the whole staff in on a holiday or on a day off and go through all the photos that have accumulated. I hope that that doesn't happen to you. If you already know an agent, by all means, once you have prepared, they're not interested in amateurs. They're not interested in beginners who are not qualified and don't know how to handle themselves in an audition. But once you have had commercial training, and that's a credit every agent looks for on your resume, because they know if you haven't, you'll lose your first 25 or 30 auditions just getting used to the experience and just getting over nerves, right? And getting to know what is required of that camera. It's quite different from acting on stage. Camera's a lie detector. It looks right in your eyes. It can tell whether you believe what you're saying. And the two major ingredients in a commercial are, number one, believability. If you don't believe it, nobody will. And if you're not enthusiastic about it, nobody's going to buy it. So you have to think and feel and believe it. You have to sell yourself the product. Other ways to get an agent. If you know somebody, by all means, and once you're qualified, you call them. You say, I've just completed this great commercial course. I'd like to come in and read for you. Don't hesitate to use your friends. Nobody minds being used. They do not like being abused. But when you're qualified, you're doing them a favor if you bring more talent into their stable when you're ready for it. If you know somebody who works in an advertising company or works in some Broadway production house, don't hesitate to call them and tell them that you're now qualified for commercial ideas and ask if they can line up an appointment with you, for you, with whomever is in charge of that, auditioning for commercials. The other thing is, if you have a good friend who has a good agent and you're not competitive with that friend, ask that friend to take you in, to introduce you to that agent and to recommend you. That's, all businesses are done on the basis of any friend of yours is a friend of mine, on recommendation. And that's one of the best ways to get an agent, is to have somebody who knows what they're talking about introduce you to and recommend you to an agent. Other ways, be in a Broadway show. Every agent I ever met goes to every show on Broadway, and sometimes they've seen the show a half dozen times. So they will go, and you don't have to be in a starring role. I've gone to see a man play the part of a policeman with no lines in Porky and Bess. The last time it was around, he was the only white man in the cast, and he had to be the policeman on the block and had to look like he had authority. I went to see him. He didn't have a single line, but I believed he was a policeman. And so did the rest of the people in the play. And every time I got an opportunity to send a policeman out, I sent him. So be in a Broadway play. If you can't be in a Broadway play, be in an off-Broadway play. If you can't be in an off-Broadway play, be in an off-Broadway showcase. A showcase is a production off Broadway, and is put on by people who want their work to be seen. The writer, the producer, the director, and the cast want to show their work to agents and casting people and producers. Usually you don't get paid for that. On the West Coast, you have to pay to get into most showcases. Here in New York, we're very fortunate. We have a large control over our own career, and you don't get charged to get into a showcase. Sometimes you will join a class, a showcase class, and as a part of that, you'll pay for the class and then pay for a production that you all get together and chip in for. If you can't be in somebody else's showcase, get in your own showcase. There are all kinds of so-called nightclubs and restaurants throughout the New York area, and most of the entertainment that is appearing in those clubs, with very few exceptions, are people who are performing there as a showcase. Maybe they get some of the music charges, fees, but in general they don't get paid for performing there. They're doing it so that they can invite agents and casting directors and producers to see their work and to gain experience. There are comedy clubs that if you have a sense of humor, you can work up an act and you can appear at Catch a Rising Star and the improvisation and the comic strip and Good Times and various clubs. And usually what you get there is sometimes no payment, but if any payment, it's a part of the music fee. There are showcases, a lot of showcase theaters where you could get a number of friends together, all of whom are talented, and get a good director and put on your own showcase. And that's done frequently on a Monday night when most off-Broadway Broadway theaters are available to showcases because off-Broadway is dark on Monday nights. And if you serve some wine and cheese and fruit, agents and casting directors and producers will come to see you. You know, it's what I said before. If you want to be an actor, you start by acting, even if you have to start acting in your church or your synagogue or your high school or your college. Some people who want to perform so much that they do it on the street. And by the way, there are some very wealthy performers working on the streets of New York. Some of those performers, those musicians, who the violinists, for instance, who played for years in front of Carnegie Hall, are millionaires. There's a lot of money to be made on the street in a legitimate way. Okay, any other questions about getting it? Oh, the good old-fashioned way, making the rounds. You take your photos and resumes and a positive mental attitude, and you say, I'm going out there today, and I'm going to call upon as many agents and casting directors as I possibly can. I'm going to do it with a positive attitude without regard to results, knowing that there are two laws working for you and against you. When I talk about the laws, these are universal laws, or the laws of mind. Mind being all there is. One law that works for and against you no matter what you're doing is the law of averages. No matter how beautiful or handsome or talented you are, you're not going to get into every door that you just decide to drop in on that day. But by the same law, the law of averages, you're going to get into some of those places. And of the places that you get into, some of those agents will be interested in your type and some won't. C'est la vie. You know, you only need one really good agent if you're going to be signed exclusively. You only need a half dozen if you're going to be freelancing. And if you'll keep making the rounds with a positive attitude, knowing that there is another law that always works for you. I mentioned it earlier. It's called the law of attraction. What you're looking for is looking for you. It is not possible for you to desire something that doesn't already exist for you in mind, waiting for you to claim it when you are ready to receive it. And that law is the law of attraction. So that if you were to make the rounds for one full week with your photos and resumes, being fully prepared to do what an agent calls upon you to do, like a little scene maybe with a partner or a monologue, or to read some commercial copy and do it professionally, that law of attraction says that if you keep making the rounds, you're going to meet the agent who cannot do business without you. There are about 300 in the New York area alone, and there must be at least twice that number out in Los Angeles. So if you want an agent, you can get an agent, but the most important thing is to know what you want, have a specific step-by-step plan for its accomplishment, and then doing something about it every day with a positive mental attitude, knowing that it'll come to you when you're ready to receive it. By the way, do you know why most people are not successful? Who said that? Why are most people not successful?
Well, most people don't know what they want to do with their lives.
You're exactly right. Most people do not know what they want. Now, how can you get there if you don't know where you're going? You know, if you conducted a man on the street program or a woman on the street program on 46th and Broadway, the address of this building, and you'd say, pardon me, ma'am, but what would really make you happy? What would you say? What?
To become an actress on Broadway.
To become an actress on Broadway in starring roles?
Yes.
Why not? See, the more specific you can be, the more likely you are to achieve it. And you said you wanted to, I believe she will. You certainly have the qualifications. And you said you wanted, okay, you know, did I give you $1 tonight?
Yeah.
I did? Well, that's the beginning. All you need is 999,999 more, and you'll be a millionaire. But you're being specific about how much money you make. Some people say, I want some money. So I say, okay, here's some money. Right? Here, take that. Okay. Better luck next time. But that could be a lot of money to a little kid who needs a quarter, or somebody on the street who needs a cup of coffee, something to eat. But you can't say a lot of money. You've got to say, I want $1 million, or I want $2 million, or I want $10 million. You have to set a goal, and then set a specific step-by-step plan for its achievement, and then a believable goal date by which time you expect to achieve it, and then do something about it every day. Start looking for it. The law is, ask and you shall receive. Right?
Right.
Seek and you shall find. No matter what you're looking for, if you can't find it in New York City, you're going to have to invent it. Okay? And knock and it shall be opened. And that includes agents' doors. And I don't care how many signs are on the door. Doors were meant to open and close for the purpose of letting people in and letting people out. And if you're willing to take the consequences, you can knock on any door you please. Okay? In our entertainment field, there are several unions. The unions that are most important to performers in television, radio, and motion pictures are AFTRA, which is the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, and they have jurisdiction over all radio and television which is live and recorded in a radio or TV studio. In addition, they have jurisdiction over voice recordings and musical recordings, you know, the LPs that are made for commercial production. They have jurisdiction over soap operas and sitcoms which are made in a TV studio. AFTRA is an open union. You do not have to be a member of the union to do your first performance. You can appear on a soap opera either as an extra or as a principal. That means you have a major role or a featured role. And one time or within a 30-day period without having to join AFTRA. If, however, you want to continue in this profession, you must then join AFTRA. The way most people get into the union is to get the job. If you get a job under Equity's jurisdiction, for instance, which is the Actors Equity Association, in whose building we conduct these courses, they have jurisdiction over all live theater. And if you get a role in a Broadway play, they have to let you join. Right? But the unions try to get preference in the auditioning process for the union members, and that's one of the reasons why it's good to be in the union. Same thing applies in Screen Actors Guild. If you get a role in the movies, or if you get a role in a dramatic program which is filmed for television by a film studio, or in commercials which are done in film studios, then you must eventually become a member of Screen Actors Guild, which we call SAG. The way a lot of people get into the union, in addition to getting the role, that's always the best way, is that frequently, since AFTRA allows you to perform without being a member, most of our people go on to a soap opera in an extra role, or what we call an under 5, which means under 5 lines. And after you've been in AFTRA for 1 year, and if you've done an under 5 or an extra role, then you can take your union card and your contract for the performance on television to the Screen Actors Guild or to Actors Equity, and you can join at around half the initiation and half the dues. So your parent union would then be AFTRA. But don't worry about getting into the unions. The unions will insist that you join when it's time for you to join. In the meantime, everybody has to start somewhere, and if you are non-union, I would recommend that you stay non-union for a while to take advantage of the many, many non-union opportunities that exist for you in radio, television, films, and theater. It's good experience, it's good on-the-job training, it's good credits, it's good money. It doesn't pay as well and certainly doesn't have the benefits like residuals or pension and welfare plans that you would if you were a member of the union, but you've got to start somewhere, and you've got to indicate to the agents and casting people and producers that you are a professional. The thing that makes you, in addition to your talent and the quality of your performance, of course, the major difference between an amateur and a professional is that a professional gets paid for performing. It's their profession.
While most commercials are produced in New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Florida, many are also made in most major cities throughout the United States. Start right now, right where you are. Check the yellow pages for talent agents and commercial producers and advertising agencies in your area. There is very little casting news for commercials in any newspaper. But for casting opportunities in theater, films, and television, you'll want to be sure to read Backstage, the Performing Arts Weekly, published every Friday and available on many newsstands on Thursday morning. It pays to get it early and to respond to the casting notices quickly. And then be sure to read the rest of the news and features about all areas of the entertainment world. It is vital to professionals and beginners alike, and it's a great advertising medium for actors. You'll also want Show Business. It's a terrific title for a weekly newspaper that covers everything about show business. It contains a lot of casting news and information, with constant updates on who and where the agents and managers are, on current and future stage and film projects, and a column that tells which celebrities are in town and how you can contact them. On the West Coast, you'll want to be sure to read Dramalog. Not much in commercial casting, but lots of news and opportunities for theatrical showcases. And there's one in Florida called Florida Celebrities. All of these papers carry a lot of important advertising for performers, such as schools, photographers, and employment agencies. Check with your regional SAG or AFTRA office to learn of performers' newspapers in your area. Now, be very careful in responding to casting notices in any newspaper, especially in the classified ads, because producers do not usually advertise for talent and models unless they're trying to sell you something. If you have any doubts, check with the Better Business Bureau or your district attorney. Variety is published every Wednesday, and it's essential once you are in this business. It's the granddaddy of them all, and it's called the Bible of show business because it accurately covers every facet of the entertainment world, and you'll learn a lot in Variety. Daily Variety is vital on the West Coast, and it's airmailed to major cities every day. Read by everyone in movies and TV. And so is Hollywood Reporter. Both papers carry important news and casting information, as well as ads for teachers and performers. You'll want to read them both daily. It pays to be informed.
Well, I think you're all terrific. I think you deserve a great big hand. There's an awful lot of fresh talent in this room tonight, and it isn't often when we get a whole seminar where everybody displays so much talent on the first take, and you're all terrific. Of course you need training. Everybody does. That's the way you become professional. But you're in the right place. If you want to do commercials, there's practically everybody in this room can do commercials. Loved working with you. You're a terrific group of people. I wish you the very best of luck. Come visit us. Have a nice night.
If you really want to act and grow rich in TV commercials, watch this video every day. Practice commercials, see yourself doing them, get obsessed with commercials, imitate them, and visualize yourself as a happy, healthy, prosperous, and successful star. Remember, you become what you think, and you create what you think about. So set your goal, create your plan, follow the instructions in this tape, take the first step, and I'll see you on TV. Hundreds of our successful graduates, including several who started with this very seminar, are currently starring in commercials, soap operas, sitcoms, series, primetime television, movies, yes, even on Broadway. And you're next. For your convenience, The Master Key to Riches by Napoleon Hill, The Secret of the Ages by Robert Collier, my new book, Act and Grow Rich, How to Get Into TV Commercials, the New York Casting and Survival Guide and Date Book, and the LA Working Actors Guide are all available from Bob Collier TV Success Seminars Incorporated, Box 558, Paradise Valley, Montana, 59027, 0558. That zip code is 59027-0558. Mail the enclosed order form or call our toll-free number right now. Have your Visa or MasterCard ready. Thanks, and have a great career.